immortality. Damage. Rage. Valkyr is a matter of two things. Never dying, and making sure the enemies don't get the chance to test that. Valkyr Prime has remained one of my most played frames, and post-rework in June 2025 has only gotten better. Understandably, that rework ended up divisive for a lot of players, but I found myself playing a lot more dynamic with it. The new arcanes that came out in Old Peace 2 has left Valkyr in probably a best and most fun state. Note, this build will be high investment. Lots of armor, Tau Forge shards, and effort going to get into this stage. Take what you can from this guide, use anything you don't have yet as a goal to work towards. Quite simply put, the build is simple. As you can see, it is very balanced in stats. The only thing you don't really need is efficiency, but even then, I'm still got Streamline on. You don't need a lot of strength, you don't need a lot of duration, efficiency, or range. You will be doing those kinds of numbers in strides. And another thing to note, this Eternal War, optional. You don't need this. This is merely quality of life. To make this less castable, you can just keep casting this. You can easily just replace this with, let's say, Orc of Secrets. Get a few, like, if I do that, a lot more strength, a lot more power overall. You're going to get a lot more numbers out of this than you would otherwise. That's pretty nice. But I quite like running Eternal War, because, as you can see, it just keeps it up forever. It's nice. Now, strength will still be your key stat for pretty much all of Valkyr's abilities. The one Helminth will be Wrathful Advance. That benefits from your strength. Warcry benefits from strength, gives you more armor, gives you more attack speed. Nearly doubles both of those things just with these numbers alone. Which is why I don't tend to go above this number. Paralysis, very good ability post-rework in my opinion. Damage vulnerability, again, nearly 100%, nearly taking double the damage per hit. And it slows them down a metric ton, so they're easier to hit. Hysteria is going to be the bread and butter of this build. Bread and butter of pretty much every Valkyr build, yes. And again, is going to be here too. Your base damage doesn't look that good, but with a drain per second of 3.6, lifesteal of about 200 health, and the armor increase tripling what we already have from Warcry. So what you do is you hit your Warcry, then this, and that just gets tripled even harder. It's bloody lovely. Your passive is going to give you even more melee damage, and give you even more survivability. And honestly, this passive, outside of the damage boost, is never going to affect you. We'll be using and taking advantage of this high armor stat with Arcane Battery to give us a shit ton of energy, and we will be using Prime Flow to get even more energy. This number, when you get high, when you get into like the Hysteria, the whole shebang, this thing hits nearly 2,000. It's so nice. Steel Charge gives you 60% more melee damage. It gives everyone 60%, but mainly you. That's the key thing that's going to be here. Eternal War, as we mentioned, good QOL. Blind Rage for pretty much all of our strength. This is our key strength mod. With that 55% ability efficiency, though, this would drain really quick. Like, if I go all the way to the end here, take off Streamline, we're at 45% efficiency. That drain per second goes up by a whole second, a whole extra energy point. And that can stack up quite quickly. Equilibrium is a key mod. Pretty much you're going to be getting a lot of health pickups, a lot of energy pickups, and we want to keep that energy pretty much as high as possible, because we're going to be using a lot of this and a lot of this. And both of these are about 30 energy each, whilst that's already draining per second. So Equilibrium lets us keep up our health, which isn't that big a number. and our energy, which is a big number. Big sprint speed, all very good. Constitution gives us more ability duration and faster knockdown recovery, which is always really good. Streamline, as we mentioned, just ability efficiency, and stretch solely exists for paralysis. Gives us an extra 4.5 meters, which makes it viable, from what I've found. Raffle Advance is going to be your main subsume. And with this subsume, it's going to give us more melee critical chance, which, as we're about to learn, is very good. Persistence is your survivability. You don't need shields. It's like, if I just remove this, you get very piss-all on shields. Shields don't do anything for you. And since we're not running Augur, or, like, Brief Respite and all that, they're not all that important to us. So you can run Persistence, which will get rid of those 185, but we can't be hit for more than 500 damage a second. The only problems will be Magnetic and Nullifiers. Work around them. We do have a workaround for those Nullifiers, though, because they are our biggest problem. As for our Archon shards, we are running one health shard, because without it you only have very, very little health. This, way back when, used to be a 5th Tau Forged Violet, but post-rework I found that just having that extra little bit of health really just makes her survive even harder. The rest of these are the same. Violet Archon Shard, gain 37% melee critical chance when max energy is over 500, damage boost doubles. It's just nice. And you're going to see what kind of number increase we get from just 4 of these. This is why we run Flow, to pretty much guarantee that we're always going to be above that energy threshold. And then we go to the Prime Talons here. Now, the Prime Talons are the best part of this. As you can see, we're not going the Influence route. We're not going to be slaves to quite possibly the most annoying arcane to see on any melee build. We will be running primarily Corrosive Heat. These are just nice to have, and it's just increasing that number. Because at a base level, you're already looking at 50% crit chance and 2% crit damage. Not the best crit damage you can have, but this beautiful number. So, you then run Sacrificial Steel. 220% critical chance, 2 times for heavy attacks, so that's going to give you 440 on top of all the other bits we've got going on. Prime Pressure Point for that melee damage, Prime Fever Strike, and yeah, Focus Energy for electricity. I forgot what gave you electricity there for a second. So give us our corrosive and some heavy attack efficiency. We're going to be heavy attacking a lot with this build. 2 forms of crit damage, and Gladiator Might's beautiful 10 times melee critical chance per combo multiplier. So this is going to give us 120 at our max, which is going to be added to that 440 in a heavy attack, on top of the 160. No. Big numbers. Heat damage and Galvanized Reflex. This is a key mod for me, because not only do we get the heavy attack efficiency, but you get melee combo chance up to 20 seconds. Now, normally, the 2 banes of this build are Magnetic Status and Nullifiers. Nullifiers being the key one. We do have a solution for those, but there will be times where you just end up either fat fingering your 4, it happens to the best of us, or a Nullifier sneaks up on you, jumps down on you. Again, Sod's Law. This will help you when you recast your 4 to immediately have about 4 times combo multiplier immediately off the bat, ready to go. Melee Animosity is our arcane of choice. Gives us 420, nice, percent bonus critical chance on our next melee hit. Next heavy melee hit, I should say. And Dreamer's Wrath gives us even more Tennokai opportunities and bolsters our critical damage by 32%. Now, mind you, if you don't run the Violet Shards, you're looking about a 5 times critical damage multiplier. This is already a good number. But with those, we hit that 11 times. So that's just 32% bonus. You end up with about 11.4, if I remember correctly. So it's just that extra little bit of bonus damage. And considering we're hitting big ticket numbers from Sack Steel on Heavy, the Gladiator Might, and Melee Animosity, and Raffle Advance, that 11 times gets done to this at least 7 to 8 times. I used to run the build way back when, before Persistence, with Molt Augmented. Now, Molt Augmented is pretty good for this build, as it is with most builds, because this will push your Raffle Advance up to about not 400, I wish it was 400, 243%. I think it was 243, 249, about there. And that's really good. And honestly, I have hit damage cap with that a couple of times in the past. But Persistence is just too good a arcane. If you can balance your energy better, and just want something a bit more like I'm focusing, you could probably swap out Battery for Molt Augmented to get that same strength bonus. I like Battery, I like the high energy because it lets me relax more with it. Now, Mitre is our solution to the Nullifier Bubbles. It is a fun little saw launcher with its Incarnon mode. All we're running for that is Evolution 2, increase base damage by 77, and with a channeled ability active, plus 70% fire rate. Shockingly, I believe the Exalted count as a channeled ability, thus 70% fire rate. Our Evolution 3 just gives us more projectile speed. These don't really do anything for us. And our 3 is just the base critical chance by 22%. None of those are very important for us, except for that base critical chance gets us some better numbers to work with. Going into it, I do have an Arcane. Don't know how much they're going for, so somewhere on screen will be the current ribbon prices at the time of recording. You don't need this. None of this is needed. These 7 mods are merely here so I can use it as an actual weapon still. The 2 things that are really desired for this build, especially if you are going to be running something akin, you could probably just throw on Vigilante Armaments instead of this, or better off a Toxin mod. Something like, what's the Toxin mod called again? Like Malignant Force, or... I forget what Toxin mod is. Yeah, Infected Clip. So I'd run Infected Clip over this instead, or Malignant. Likely Malignant Force. You will lose a lot of numbers on this compared to this specific Riven. You'll gain a little bit of reload speed. But this is pretty much my damage. Primary Overcharge, very, very good when you have high energy, energy maintenance Valkyr. So this is just going to give you a shit ton of multi-shot. And this is our bread and butter. You need Still Meridian for this. And each Mitre Blade has a 90% chance to immediately destroy a Nullifier Field. The beauty of destroying a Nullifier Field with your blades is your multi-shot. So if we max out that, let's see, do I have a Nullifier? There we go. Corrupted Nullifier. I didn't even summon him. That is silly goose. Let's get our Nullifier in. And you're pretty much guaranteed to always be able to destroy a Nullifier bubble. Next up is our Grimoire. This is likely going to be one you see a lot from me. It is just one of the best buffing weapons in the game. If you don't need a secondary, this is your best bet. I have a build specifically for Valkyr, and it focuses entirely really on the Vome invocation. Jahu gives us some armor strip, and then the rest of this is just the damage. I like a little bit of priming with this. It gives us a little more control. Secondary Merciless isn't really needed. You can probably throw in Fortifier if you want some Overguard every now and then. Personally, you don't need that. This is just there for the sake of it. Vome Invocation replaces, especially in high-density enemy areas, the Molt Augmented we used to have. This on top of the Molt Augmented, again, if you want to remove battery, very strong. You're going to be able to cast that, cast your Raffle Advance. You're going to gain about 40-odd% onto your Raffle Advance casts. Gonna be pretty nice for you. It's pretty simplistic. You're gonna be using this solely for its ult fire. Your Mitre will be pulled out solely for Nullifier bubbles. This for the odd secondary cast. Praedos, honestly, not a needed thing. This is just to fill a slot. And we're merely using it for its evolutions. 2, Drifting Grace gives us more sprint speed and more slide. So our slide attacks are a lot nicer. And doubles jump strength by 100% because it's a movement tool. This is just pretty nice. I don't know if it works with Valkyr, but if it does, it's somewhat passive. I've not noticed it in my gameplay. The key thing here, though, is we don't really have much in the way of priming. So we run Diriga. Diriga is probably my favourite companion in this game, alongside the Hounds. The Diriga build is pretty simple. We're just going all into health. We don't really care. It's going to die a bunch. It exists solely with companion precepts, so the status effects from companion preset mods like Arc Coil here will apply all the statuses from our weapon. We run spare parts to give us some more loot. Guardian just honestly is something there for other characters. It's just something you don't need this. Synth Deconstruct is pretty good, gives us some more chances for health orbs. But our key things here really are Arc Coil, which will zap enemies with electricity, which will give us more priming, if that bounces between them, and Fired Up, which is whenever the enemy hits, it's more guaranteed heat damage per hit. Verglass will be our priming weapon on Diriga, with 2 main focuses. A shit ton of fire rate, a shit ton of status chance really, viral heat. Serration's there for the sake of serration, reload speed's there just to get everything back faster. This is the key thing here. There you have 125% chance, nearly guaranteeing viral every hit. That's going to increase your damage by a metric shit ton. Especially considering your Valkyr Prime Talons do a majority slash as a base element. And some heat damage with this build. Overall, that's going to be your key build stuff. Now, let's show off what kind of energy we can get with this. So at base, we're sitting about 903. We hit Warcry. We're now at 1201. And then we hit Hysteria, and then we max out around about 1603. You can bring in a Nullifier group. Hit your 1. And already, at barely anything, you're dealing red crits with 5-digit numbers. We've just hit a 14. And honestly, it's going to take you a good while to build up all of that combo. As we've seen with the nullifier, that happens. And now, if we summon a group of enemies, a boot of enemies even, let them get primed. Big group of enemies. We hit them all with invocation. So we're now at the 60. I hit my 1. And as we can see in the top, we're now at 259%. It's just a whole lot of damage numbers for free. You can just summon in a group of enemies. We cast our 3, so they're damage vulnerable, and we're already at 24 million. Overall, Valkyr is going to be one of the single best damage Warframes. Just to simulate the survivability. If you take any damage, you just attack, kill an enemy, and you're immortal just on that principle alone. They will never be able to really get you low enough. 73 million there. Especially considering you gain iframes on a cast of Wrathful Advance on an enemy. So, you are fundamentally immortal long-term. He's dead. But as always, we gain our benefits from Primary Overcharge. Our Walker increases our attack speed. Gladiator set bonuses. Arcane Battery giving us a metric ton. Arcane Persistence always being great. Overall, one of the single best Warframes to play. As always, here is the drip. I have been Fancy. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe if this has helped you or you've just enjoyed your time here. Leave a comment letting me know who else you want to see a build for. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.